So our next speaker up is Mr. Ernie Hancock from Freedom's Phoenix. And I met Ernie 2010, right? Okay. And we had a really good time with Ernie the first time we met. Those of you who are familiar with the San Bernardino County Libertarian Party know that we put on a pretty good party every year at convention. And Ernie decided to come up and party with us until we got yelled at by the security guards. And then he said, "Holy crap, what time is it? I need to go to bed. My wife's going to be pissed." So Ernie is one of the most active, amazing people that I know. He has a workshop in Phoenix where he can print his own signs, his own banners, his own t-shirts. He has a TV studio, a radio studio, a duplication room. You can walk in there and have access to so many things. And Ernie puts everything out there on the line. He's also one of the most genuine people that I've ever met in my entire life. He will be honest and forthright with you even if you don't like what he's saying. He doesn't care. It's the truth. So if you all could please help me welcome Mr. Ernie Hancock.
In 20 minutes. The reason I am so inspired by Jordan Page and a lot of the minds and people like him is that a lot of times you can't have a future that you can't even imagine. And the one phrase, the reason I was such a fan of Pendulum, during July of '08, there was the big revolution march in Washington, D.C. in the West Capitol lawn for Dr. Paul. And Gary Franchi and I were MCs of that, and that's when I first heard Jordan play. And I'm like, hey, well, this guy's got skills, you know? As time went on, I started looking more, and you'll see Pendulum by Jordan Page. You need to go watch the YouTube. And someone took that song and put it to graphics, to images, and it's beautiful. At the time, my first grandchild, by the end of this year, I'll have 6 grandchildren. And I'm going, you know, man, I'm motivated, you know what I mean? So what happened was that my first grandchild was in my daughter-in-law's womb. And the line, can't say it without tearing up, the line where he says, "I met a young woman with a baby inside her. I looked, but there wasn't a safe place to hide her." How, as a new grandfather coming up, can you not be affected by that? Because you know that's exactly what's happening. You know, and at the time, it was, keep in mind, what happened right before the election in '08, it was the TARP. Now, they voted it down, and I rarely do polls on Freedom's Phoenix, but I've done like maybe 5 or 6 over 7 years. And I definitely put this one up. How many days, hours is it already ready, do you think, before they reintroduce it and pass it? In Arizona, I ran for Congress 3 times against a gentleman named John Shadegg. He voted against it, of course, so the rules is that in order to get the TARP to come back, or legislation, you have to have voted against it to be the one to reintroduce it. John Shadegg got the tap on the shoulder to nationally socialize the entire economy. But it's not fascist when Republicans do it, okay? I go, you do this, I'm a swastika, your butt tattoo, big man, you ain't never running again. And he pulled. But then the Goldwater Institute made him a senior fellow after nationally socializing the economy. Somebody explained this to me. Money. It's always money. So what happens is, during that time, we made signs, hundreds of them, big 4x8 like we do the Ron Paul signs, and he said, "National socialization of the economy isn't fascist when I do it," John S.S. Shadegg, everywhere. As the Tea Party thing started getting going, of course, they wanted to have, you know, the Levolution guy. You know, I know a lot of you guys know that I created the Levolution logo. They wanted to have me up there in the state capitol with all these Tea Party and the Clear Channel stations and congressmen, this and that. And the first thing I get up, and I get up there, you know, is this on? I'm not with any of these guys. And after they got up and they said, "Oh, I never did that. I would never. I never." And we had the signs up, and I don't know what you're talking about, and I would never. And I get up and I said, and this is 2010 election cycles we're going into, and I go, you guys don't understand what's changed. You see all these young guys out here, and that was a sea of, you know, older people, you know, it was kind of average age of, you know, 55 to 65 around in there. It was a Republican thing. But it's thousands of people. And I see all these young people with video cameras, Do you think they're not going to have this in 2010 of exactly what this guy just said, and they know what he said before and videotape of and vote of and brought it back of and everything? You think they're not going to know? You know, what are you thinking? It's different now. You can't say something, and then 2 years later, 4 years later, 6 years later, the next election for U.S. Senate or something, you get up, say something totally different, they're not going to know you're a hypocrite. Them days is over. It is archived forever and always, except now it's going down the memory hole. This is all 1984 George Orwell stuff. They just changed the definition of words. War is peace. You know, slavery is freedom. You thought it was kind of, kind of out there from to say that kind of, now you see it happening. But what is the thing that we can, grasp onto, that we can count on in the future, that we can take all our efforts and we can make the baby steps forward? How can we go forward? How can we be confident that the future of our children and our grandchildren is going to be one to where they're just left alone? I remember I was interviewing Karen Kwiatkowski one time, and I thought of it during the break, and I went on GoDaddy and went and got it. Boom, I got more domains I know what to do with now. But, I go in and I get the domain, leavemealonezone.com. I want a leave me alone zone. Where's that? It's right here. We did when the vaccine thing was going heavy, and you remember Obama came out, we're in a pandemic. World Health Organization has level 5. Well, we created level 6. We made it up, okay? We got level 6 that we are worried about, and we're going to have a pandemic at the same time that the TSA is smearing everybody with their blue gloves and go to the next guy with the same gloves. So we created the, when they had the WeWon'tFly.com, you remember that, the TSA protest on Thanksgiving? We had TSA opt-out bags, and they had, who's talking? They had these, we had these bags that had the blue gloves in them for your date with the TSA. At least get some fresh gloves, okay? Also, we had these little cards in there, and it had a Godzilla on it. It was a radiation dosimeter badge. And it was addressed to the TSA agent. It was because we knew they were going to be taking them and passing them out, and they'd get them. And it was warning them that these machines were producing a lot of radiation that they were exposed to, that they created an environment to where the company that did it, if you had any damage, was limited liability. They were protected from lawsuit, and they didn't allow the TSA agents to have dosimeter badges. So we had a dosimeter company in Florida that provided them for them. We said, here, just go here, and they'll give them to you for free, and just kind of sneak them in there and so on, and you don't have to worry about it, and then you can check it. That was the beginning of the end of a lot of these different machines, but not the philosophy and the mentality behind it. And I want to emphasize this, because we always got these projects that we go in and we can see we made them take them out of the airport. I get calls from the press. They're removing them from Sky Harbor. Aren't you happy? Can I get on Fly and Die Airlines? Can I drive up and go through the metal detector maybe and just go up the stairs and get on? They issue me my 9mm because I forgot mine. Do I have the freedom to be able to not have to wait in line, not to be groped, not to have my children separated from me? And that was one, there was a gentleman, his name's Tim Fry. He's a precious metals broker out of Pensacola, Roberts. And he's coming to the Freedom Summit. Oh yeah, check the Freedom Summit, go to the Freedom Summit, check out the Freedom Summit, you need to go to Freedom Summit, okay? So FYI. He's driving to Phoenix. He doesn't fly anymore because when his daughter, beautiful young blonde little girl, 4 years old, they wanted to separate them. They had to go through different lines. They're the property of the state. We're going to check you out. He's like, hell no. Finally, supervisors get involved and got to go with his daughter, but no more, I'm not flying anymore. The power to separate you from your children. This is like, all you got to do is make that black and white and put it on a train platform and it's cattle car time. This is what's coming. This is what's here. But there's something behind it. What's behind it? It's a philosophy. Every one of these little transgressions, there's a lot of things that we can do. We're going to be focusing a lot on jury nullification in Phoenix. We're going to be doing a lot of things. Everything that we do has a theme. There's a reason behind it. L. Neil Smith is a science fiction author who's involved in the Libertarian Party quite a bit, and he was a big inspiration to us. I started all this in '88. If you were to look for Tennessee Libertarian Party Convention, Ernest Hancock, you'll get the full 2-hour version of, okay? The whole history for those that care. But I tell you this, there was in 1996, the race for the Libertarian nomination between Rick Tompkins, that was the state chair of Arizona, and Harry Brown. And the only reason that he was running was to keep the presidential nomination and the party from taking matching funds in '96. We were successful in stopping that. Because we knew that if the Libertarian Party ever got on the government tit, man, that was it. Well, is that going to happen now? Is Gary Johnson and friends, are they going to do that we can't? Yeah, of course they're going to try. They always try. But what do they understand? This one thing that I got out of Rick, and I remember I was there and a television crew went to him and they said, do you really think that you can be elected president of the United States running as a libertarian? And I loved his answer. He goes, well, if I thought I could be elected running as a libertarian, why would I run? What does that mean? This is what he meant. If there was an environment to where the people would vote and demand, stand up for free, want to be free, elect libertarians. I get it. I understand. I want. If there was an environment that would elect libertarian president, why would you run? You already won. The culture would have supported freedom, being left alone. I want to go open a business. I want to do this. I want to do whatever the heck I want to do, and I can't without asking permission. You know, there's one thing about the Levolution that was so, and as much as I can go through a whole history of our experiences from Arizona, I'm sure you're going through with the National Party and, you know, the philosophy of and what do we use it for, and people that, the Libertarian movement is healthy. It has gone plaid. It is worldwide. But where's the Libertarian Party? The Libertarian movement bypassed and went around and over and kind of big and giant, and it's matured and everything. It's left the Libertarian Party in the dust. So how is it going to catch up? Where is it that the Libertarian Party would be relevant? How would that happen? I was part of the years of the crafting of the platform to explain what, the gentleman earlier was talking about. It's like, this is what we're about. This is what it means. This is what every single one of our policies, every single one of the positions that we take, there's a reason behind it. Freedom's the answer. What's the freaking question? Yeah. And the thing is that, if somebody come to me on my radio show and they'll go, yeah, and I love having progressives, man, they're my favorite, okay? Bring them on. 3 hours every day, man, bring it on. They come up and they say, yeah, but this and yeah, but that, and we got this problem, big problem. And I go, sounds to me like you need a little bit more freedom. Let me explain it to you. They go to the next interview. They go on Fox. They go on, and they're going, yeah, they got that, that splinter in their mind. They're kind of, man, I got, they forced a red pill down my throat. What am I going to do now? I've seen this change. When you run, I ran in 90, I ran for state legislator twice, Congress 3 times, Secretary of State twice, U.S. Senate against John McCain, county recorder. I'm like, hello. And they bring up one thing that might surprise some of you. They go, yeah, but you don't even vote. And I go, oh, you're right. Let me explain why. And then they never ask that question again. Never mind. And I can go on and on why, and it doesn't matter. But I tell you this, the Libertarian Party was a liberty nexus for us before the internet really hit. It wasn't until 2004 when Howard Dean all of a sudden had a big impact on the internet fundraising and everything. And well, what the heck was that? 2006, go to Portland. What they didn't tell you, I ran for national chair in 04, 6, 8, and 10. And the reason was in 04, when the Libertarian Party started going, yeah, a little war's okay, Afghanistan's not that bad and everything, and we're still there. And I'm going, are you freaking kidding me? So we did a newspaper, westernlibertarian.org paper. Google that and you'll see the paper, which had 2004, Larkin Rose, Lou Rockwell, Ron Paul, Charles Goyette, Jim Bovard, Bumper Hornberger. These are people that we understood. It's culture. It's not your collective is going to beat their collective against collectivism. How is it you think it is that there's going to, and let me tell you, I don't even know anything about your party here in California. Let me tell you one thing I already know. Whoever it is that is credited with the most work being done, the most advancement, the most respected, it's because of them as an individual. It has nothing to do with the shiny badge that they're wearing. I guarantee it. Yeah. It's always the individuals. It's always that one person. It's always that time when you look at it and you say, man, how are we going to get at it? It's philosophy. It's always philosophy. If you have the vision in the future, way down, El Neo made this one comment. He goes, you know, it used to be you go to the supermarket or Blockbuster Video when they had Blockbuster Videos. You go into the supermarket and you would have all these Harlequin romance, drama, adventure, and a big giant section, science fiction. And then it went away. You don't have science fiction anymore. You don't have science fiction in the videos anymore, whether they're put in with action and horror or something like that. Why? Because if you can take away a young person's imagination of anything different, well, they don't even seek it. They don't even look for it. They don't even look for it. So it's not even a possibility. It's how do I run the rat race and get in front of my white picket fence and my BMW, after I graduate college when I got this big giant debt that they promised me that if I signed here at 17, 18 years old, I'm going to have a job and, a nice spouse to go with it. Paul Rosenberg, one of the speakers at the Freedom Summit, he wrote an article, I'm sorry. And he was to the generation next. He goes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we lied to you. I'm sorry we manipulated. I'm sorry we got you all this debt. I'm sorry you can't discharge it. I'm sorry we added on all this enormous trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars is what this is going to wind up being. It is impossible to pay. And what are we doing? Ranging deck chairs? And what we want to do, be in charge of the wheel of the Titanic? Everybody's so worried about saving the ship of state, they forget about the people. Are you advocating building rowboats out of doors or something? Are you pulling up the Carpathian and say, hey, come over here? I mean, the only thing, grins and giggles I might get out of the, sinking of the ship is, I might key it as it goes down just for grins. But it's a mindset, okay? I'll give you an example. In Arizona, when I think it was Trump making a big deal out of Obama's birth certificate, all right? They come out, and we knew that was layered, Photoshop file, and we did a big thing on it that April and so on. A year later, Sheriff Arpaio makes a big deal investigation. We're looking, Ernie, you should have this on front page every day on Freedom's Feast. I can't believe you're not talking about it. I go, yeah? Where were you a year ago? I go, why is this not a big deal? They go, Ernie, it's a big deal. He's not qualified to be, our leader. Oh, I get it. You're confusing me with someone that cares, okay? I go, if Obama or whoever, fill in the blank, had the right paperwork, then he's my leader? Oh, as long as he has the right paperwork, well, hell. You see my point? I go, I don't see it the way you guys do. I don't give a crap if he has the right paperwork. I don't care if he got 100% of the vote. I don't care if everybody voted. It doesn't matter. What is it? One Tea Party, you look it up, Tea Party, Ernest, you'll see a bunch of the speeches. One of them was in Prescott. And he had, I felt like George Patton had this big giant flag behind it on the top of the stairs of the center, the court building that overlooked the square, the whatever, and General Patton, once more into the breach. And I explained it this way. I go, look, Obama is just a railroad tie and an infinitely long version of railroad ties. You take him out, there's a gazillion guys behind him. And I go, oh, but the train's coming, it's downhill, you're not going to stop, it's going to run us. I go, step to the side. Key it as it goes by. Why are you standing there screaming? It's like Austin Powers, the first Austin Powers. Those of you who've seen the Austin Powers movie, there's this one scene I remember, and I use it as a video on my radio TV show. I put it up every now and then. Sometimes people will be talking about this stuff, and I'll be playing it as they're talking. They don't know this. But it has him do it on the steamroller, and it's like he's going across this warehouse floor, and there's a guard sitting there going, stop! As he's going, it's like 5 minutes of stop. And we're the Libertarian Party standing in front of the steamroller going stop all the time. Why? Where is the impact? Where's the effect? Where is the I will change a shifting culture, a paradigm in thinking over any vote totals that's done by a government computer that you're not allowed to check and a touch screen. Don't even get me started on that. That's why I ran for Secretary of State in '94. So I ran again in '06. My big sign, you look it up, Ernest Hancock, and still voting with a question mark. You know what it is? Big black sign. It's kind of, this, Gothic font, and it's a question mark. Still voting, and the V is the V for vendetta. Still voting? If you think voting is going to make you free, you have not been paying attention. It is a side effect of a much larger cultural shift, what Rick Tompkins taught me. If you are in an environment that's begging for freedom, that's begging for, and it was. They're going, no. I was in Portland in the '06 convention when they stripped the platform. And I'm going, you guys just opened it up for everybody to be more libertarian than the Libertarian Party. Within 6 months, Ron Paul announced he's kind of sort of almost thinking about maybe creating a blue ribbon panel to run, okay? And I was already all in. I knew it was going to happen. Dr. Paul has spoken at 3 of our summits. You know, we've had, oh God, the names are huge names. You know, Peter Schiff and Lou Rockwell and Block and I mean, on and on and on. Vince Suprenowitz, Bumper Hornberg and everything before they were famous or infamous, depending on if you're Fox News. So, you know, these guys were saying, here it comes. Here it freaking comes. And then it came. So now what do I do? Say I told you so? The summit in 2014 is all about solutions. It's about things that we're going to do because I think it's going to get bad. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Can we hurry up and get to a police state so we can leave? Well, we're there. Can we leave? But what's the first thing that has to happen? We got to want to leave. And leave to where? To what? Freedom's the answer. What's the question? And the thing is that how best to articulate that? I'm not against running. Man, I run for office like you. I'm a runner. Put me up on the forum on the DS, and we sit there and talk, we'll duke it out, man, let's go. They asked me to come speak at this progressive whatever thing, and I'm debating the head of the teachers union just a few months ago. Well, that was entertainment, you know. So I go, no, we want the same thing. We all want the same thing. We want people informed. We want them to be able to not be a burden on society. We want them to contribute. We want them to live a happy life. We want to be the standard for America. And that's one thing that Dr. Paul was going on about. He goes, only in America do these words even really have any meaning, the heritage of this, the understanding of what we're talking about. You know, as flawed as the Constitution is, I'll tell you this one story. It'll illustrate. When they were throwing Molotov cocktails on the protesters in Tahrir Square in Egypt, I'm going, oh, that's not good. They wanted to prompt them to be violent. They wanted to be able to call out the army against these, ne'er-do-wells out there causing violence. But they didn't understand what I did. We had already gone through the revolution. We'd already seen what happens when you got a 70-something-year-old guy with 24 hours notice shows up at a university and 5,000 to 10,000 children get up there. Children, teenagers, and kids, young people, the next generation next, come there with their family a lot of times, screaming in the fit. Where the hell did that come from? Why? Because they understood. What did they understand? They just wanted to be left alone. That's why when Tahrir Square started, let me tell you this story, and it's a good one. I think it'll cover a lot of the other stuff that I want to talk about. What if you really believed in liberty, freedom, leave me aloneism, non-aggression principle? What if you really believed that? Well, what would you do? How would you organize your government? How would you who would vote? How would you vote? What's the qualification for it? You're still voting? I mean, that's a side effect. Yeah, there's going to be some kind of government. I'm not against government. I'm just against coercive government. When you find that, let me know. I just want. So here we had Tunisia fell in 3 weeks. There was a guy, I don't know how many of you know, literally sparking the revolution. A gentleman, the economy started going down. He's an IT guy. He started selling fruit in the town square. Well, he's competing with other people that said didn't want him there and so on, and officers beating him up, and you didn't have the right paperwork or whatever. He goes, I need paperwork to stay my family of 8. I need to, work, give me a permit. They won't give it. No, I'm not going until you give it. We're not giving it. I'm not leaving. You're leaving. They pushed him out, locked the doors. He sat down, doused himself with lighter fluid, set himself on fire, and literally sparked Arab Spring. That government fell in a few weeks, and then it started to just, fire across the Arab world. Why? Because they knew that they were being controlled and ruled by and what are they going to do? Ask for, Pharaoh number 337? We need to be ruled right?